Well, Fight Fan, like, I didn't read that, if that's a book, but I was around when that was happening, and it was fascinating to really see. I mean, first of all, I remember the magazine started saying the only reason the cruiserweight division exists is to allow Evander Holyfield to become a champion of the world, which was kind of funny. You know, Holyfield had outgrown light heavyweight, and interestingly, light heavyweight in amateur boxing is 178, but in pro boxing it's 175. So, you know, the pressure goes on to a guy like Holyfield who was 28 or 29 by the time he turned pro. And as they transitioned him to heavyweight, I remember his first fight was against James Quick Tillis. Now, this was significant for a bunch of reasons, including the fact that Mike Tyson almost lost to James Quick Tillis and they buried the fight, right? The promotional machine that was Mike Tyson's backing buried that fight, so no one could see it. But Holyfield handled Quick Tillis in about 7 rounds, knocked him out. But he weighed only 202 pounds. And I want you to think about that. And that's why everybody was was harping on that so much. And there was a real feeling back then that the original 8 weight classes, like, all you needed was the 8 weight classes, and anyone above 175 pounds is a heavyweight. And that seems absurd today. But I will tell you what, Dana White and the UFC have kind of kept that mantra because weight divisions were so maligned in boxing for so long that the UFC's decided to take it very slow, and they don't add weight divisions that they actually really need. I mean, it's getting to the point where, like, you got to cut 15 pounds for a new weight class. That's just not right to the fighters. I mean, it's incorrect. But you know, I understand that mentality is going through the UFC just like it had gone through boxing for a long time. I remember when there was no super middleweight division, and the first super middleweight champion was a guy from South Korea, which was kind of funny. Chung Pao Park, I think his name was. And then Tommy Hearns and Sugar Ray Leonard had a race to see who could win the super middleweight title first, and Hearns won the WBO title in a fight he should have lost against James Kinchin, a fighter from San Diego where I was living at the time. But it's just amazing to me to watch it build. That's why, like, when things like Bridgerweight come around now, I'm just slow. I watch it and we'll see what happens. I mean, there was a quasi Bridgerweight, they called it Super Cruiserweight, that Arnold Norlis won late in his career, but it didn't stick. We'll see if that sticks now. I think it will because there's such giant guys in the heavyweight division, right? Like Tyson Fury, 6'9" or whatever he is. And nobody's going to say, like, you know, Holyfield's a heavyweight, or, you know, like, that transition is not a big deal. I remember when the Omega Project was going on, they were aligning themselves with Ronnie Coleman. And Ronnie Coleman was Mr. Olympia for bodybuilding. And at the time, in boxing, the idea was, you know, weightlifting was bad for you. You shouldn't lift weights, was the thought. And you can understand why. We had champions of Muhammad Ali, of Larry Holmes, guys who did not lift weights. But it doesn't mean lifting weights is bad. It's how you lift those weights. So, yeah, we've come a long way, man. And whatever's conventional logic today, we'll be gone tomorrow. You can count on it. Read my book, Warrior Life, for a lot of that.